All right, everyone. Welcome back to what at least Annie and I think is the most comprehensive, fun, appropriately snarky, and full of ourselves pop culture podcast out there in the world. This is Kris McPeek, and you are listening to, in fact, the Top 5 podcast. Yeah, and did I already say my name? I think I did. I'm Kris McPeek, and I'm joined, as always, by my favorite podcasting co-host, Annie Pruitt. Hello, Annie Pruitt.
Hello. How are you?
Well, I'm really excellent. And I love doing this show with you. It just gives me all kinds of happy, yummy thoughts. So How are you on this fine, what is today? Today's actually Monday, right?
And happy President's Day.
Happy President's Day. Which president's birthday are we celebrating? Do you remember? Who's first?
Well, today they're calling it Washington's birthday. So,
okay. Yeah. Because they used to be like totally separate back in the day. And I don't remember, did we get school off when we were little kids? I don't remember if we did.
I don't know. It's so weird. It's a federal holiday, but my kids were in school today.
Mm-hmm.
At their colleges, but our school did not, because we're the Army. So I don't know.
My school didn't either. And my community college is the only place I've ever had this holiday off in my work life. So it's quite interesting the way certain regions and schools celebrate certain holidays.
Yeah.
At least, as far as higher education goes. But we can talk about that another time. Annie, why don't you fill us in on what we're discussing for today's show?
We're discussing cultural landmarks, our top 5 favorite locations that were made famous by film or television.
Now, do we have to have visited said landmarks, or is it enough to just say we think this is a really cool pop culture landmark?
Oh, definitely think it's a cool one. I have not been to all of these places.
Okay, very good.
To go to these places,
me too. In some cases, like, I'm going to be honest, mine are not very glamorous, but they're fun, and I think like they're super ultimate pop culture-y things.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to run through this awesome list with you.
Yes.
Alrighty. So who's first?
I will go first with this one.
Alrighty. I love it. Let's do it.
Now, my number 5, it's a little cult classic for the movie, and it's on my list because I live so close to it that I should hit it the next time we go home to Canton. I'm talking about the movie or the house from The Outsiders.
Oh, fun.
And this is there's a cool story behind it. So the film or the house where the Curtis brothers lived.
Okay.
The actual house is in just outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was built in 1920, and they used it for the filming for the Curtis brothers. So if you remember, like the classic scene of Emilio Estevez sitting down with a beer and a big old hunk of chocolate cake in the morning watching cartoons.
Yes.
Floor, that house. And in 2019, in 2019, it was open to the public as a museum. What happened was, in 2009, this guy named Danny Boy O'Connor he loved the movie. It was one of his favorite movies. It was based on the novel by S.E. Hilton and the film by Francis Ford Coppola. Well, Danny Boy O'Connor, who you would know him from House of Pain. He's the rapper from House of Pain.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's with this house. And so he bought it and restored it to as close to the film set as possible and opened it up as a museum in 2019. So it's an actual pop culture landmark from a film that everybody had to read this book, in junior high. Everybody, if you haven't seen the movie, then there's something wrong with you. Because it's got to be one of the greatest all-star casts of all time. It's tragic coming-of-age story. And just the fact that you can go to the house where Rob Lowe steps out of the shower and, you can go to that house where Patrick Swayze is yelling at C. Thomas Howell.
Yeah.
All those Curtis brothers, my Lord. So, yes. We drive through Tulsa every time we go home to Texas. So I've got to go to this place. So that's why it's my number 5, The Outsiders house in Tulsa.
I love it. All right. My number 5 is the Millennium Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. And it is not just one movie or TV show that has utilized this hotel. I think it's most famous for being the lobby where the Ghostbusters caught their first Slimer. But the staircases were used in Glee. The Rendezvous Court was used in Beverly Hills Cop. The Crystal Ballroom used in The Fabulous Baker's Boys. And this was one of the earlier places where the Academy Awards were hosted prior to them being shown on television. There's all kinds of rumors that this place is haunted. And I've actually been there for a conference. So it is a beautiful hotel. It would be quite something to stay there. And yeah, I don't know that it's always been called Millennium Biltmore. I think that the Millennium Hotel chain recently acquired them, and hence that's why. But it is nice. It's very old classic Hollywood looking. And all throughout the hotel too, they have photos of when, old school Hollywood people had stayed there, photos of the Academy Award actual ceremonies. So it is pretty nifty place.
Wow. So I just looking up the number of films and television shows that have been filmed there. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Big old long list.
Yeah.
It's a lovely site.
Wow. Okay. Well, my number 4 is also related to the Ghostbusters, and that would be the Ghostbusters Firehouse in New York City, located at 14 North Moore Street, and you can go visit it to this day. It's still there. So
that's great.
So desperately want to go because in terms of like classic filmmaking, they go into this place and it's such a dump, and next thing you know, Dan Aykroyd's sliding down the fire ladder. This place is great. I'm gonna get stuff. I really try this pool. I want to go so bad. I don't know what they filmed inside or outside, but the exterior of it is definitely still there, intact in New York City, and it's a really cool looking building.
That's awesome.
It was an active firehouse one day. So what a cool location. What a great film. So yeah. Indeed. That's my number 4.
Wooden. Yes. Okay. I have to go back on my list. Okay. My number 4, strangely enough, this place is actually real. People do live there. They rent apartments there, and you can still live there if you want to. It is the South Seas Apartments where Daniel LaRusso and Mom LaRusso moved in Karate Kid in 1984. And if you even Google it through Google Maps, you can see the whole satellite view and the 360. And as far as I can tell, the South Seas words are the exact same ones that were up in 1984. I could not help putting this on my list because, of course, my very high affinity for all things Miyagi-verse, particularly Cobra Kai. And so when I realized that this is a real place in Reseda and you can rent apartments there, I got very excited. Now, I don't know how many people ran out to, rent an apartment at Karate Kid's house, but Reseda's not all that far from my house. So one of these days I'm going to have to drive on over there and check it out.
That's cool.
But yeah, I love it.
Okay. Yeah, you are a little obsessed with the Karate Kid. Just a little.
Just a smidge. We can talk about that in another show.
Okay. All right. So my number 3 is a place I've actually stayed at twice, and that's the Hilton Chicago. And it is iconic because that is where the final scene where The Fugitive was filmed. So the big ballroom is where he's calling out the doctor on you fake the forms, or you fake the signatures, and all of that filming on the roof when he finally gets put in handcuffs. And this is not a spoiler alert. This is an old movie, but there's a lot of history at the hotel. Other things have been filmed there, but that's like the most famous. Freaking love The Fugitive. That's like, if it's on television, I'll just leave it on. The Grand Ballroom is like super ridiculously beautiful and gorgeous. It's a great hotel to stay at. Loved staying there before. So that's why I had to put it on the list because I was actually there.
That is the coolest thing.
Yeah. So that's my number 3, the Hilton Chicago, because of it became famous and iconic for a lot of different reasons, but in terms of pop culture, The Fugitive really put it on the map.
All right. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Okay. I'm at number 3, right? My number 3 was my absolute favorite bar to go to in Chicago for years. Many summers spent working at Freeman Decorating Company and then finding my way over to Ladies Night on Thursdays. And that is the original Mother's Bar on Division Street, which actually is they moved to a different location, and they used to be called Mother Malone's. So that music venue was founded in 1968. And they supposedly have the oldest and largest dance floor on Division Street. But if we had my bachelorette party there for the 1996 wedding, at least the one that was in Chicago. And I don't know if you remember that our sister made a friend with the bartender, and they actually came to the wedding, which was hilarious. And it's a different place now. I think they've moved locations. But my friend Tracy Williams and I had a lot of fun at that place. And yeah, it's still the original Mother's, still makes me smile. And now and then I find myself going, like Rob Lowe does. This is the place. This is the place.
Oh, we both have Rob Lowe movies.
Ooh, I'm excited.
And movie. Funny, but no overlap.
Okay.
I've never got to go. I would love that was one of the places that I was like, man, if I could have gone.
They're still open, so maybe one of these days
Yep.
Make your way over there.
One of these days. Okay.
Lawrence is still the bartender and manager.
That's
number 2.
All right, number 2, I had to put some horror in there somewhere. I'm going to go with the Timberline Lodge, and that was where the exterior filming of The Shining was.
Nice.
So what's known as the Overlook Hotel, the most iconic hotel of any horror movie, at least in my opinion. So that's an actual place in Oregon, and I'm looking at it right now. Beautiful. It's still a beautiful, amazing place. And they do have they have souvenirs where, reflecting of the Shining, calling it the Overlook and such. They don't say anything about any hauntedness or any weirdness, because I think a lot of the interior stuff was filmed elsewhere. But all the outside shots, that's the place it was. So how cool would it be just to drive up to that? I would love to.
Yes.
So that's not that I would go snow skiing, because that's against my nature. But
yeah,
I'll go and drink beer inside.
I think that I recall that the book was inspired by the Stanley Hotel in Colorado.
Yes.
And that the miniseries was actually filmed at the Stanley. But I think at that point, Stanley Kubrick was not filming in America anymore. So he probably did all that exterior shots and the maze. But I think anything indoors, I think was all shot in England.
Yeah. Surprised me.
But I didn't realize that it was a American hotel that was the outside stuff.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah. Well, I stayed at the Stanley Hotel. Did I stay there? Yes. I stayed at the Stanley Hotel for a Kuhoi conference. I don't know, 1997, 1998. And they hosted a really cute murder mystery dinner that had nothing to do with The Shining, but it was nice to be able to say, my boss and I went, and it was nice to be able to say, we stayed at the hotel that inspired The Shining. And it's beautiful. It is really super.
Yeah, I'm actually looking up the production stuff for it now, but yep.
Okay, so I'm at number 2.
You're to number 2.
Good to me. Okay. Well, I'm not even supposed to be here today, says Dante, for the quick stop groceries that is used in Clerks. And what I so very love about this is that they literally did film almost every scene of that movie outside or inside of that quick stop where Kevin Smith actually worked. And by golly, it still stands there today. If I ever get to, Red Bank, New Jersey, I might have to go buy a dozen eggs or a gallon of milk there. But I love that movie. I love that was the start of Kevin Smith's, what I consider brilliant writing career. I think he's hilarious. I think he writes really fun stuff. And I think he's as big a pop culture fan as anybody else out there. So I do have I do have dream co-hosts for us. If we could ever get Jay and Silent Bob to co-host this show, I would absolutely lose my shit. But yeah. So anyway, Quick Stop Groceries. I think it's called Red Bank, New Jersey.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would totally go there. I'd stay out of the back bathroom.
Yeah.
Guy back there.
Bad stuff back there.
Yeah. Okay. Honorable mention to me.
Yes.
I did not want to go with too much of the obvious. So I'm going to go to one place that I've been before and it felt just as iconic as when I was watching the scene from the movie, and that's going to be the Bellagio fountains, which they weren't made famous by the films. That they're already a famous spot. But if you've ever seen Ocean's 11, walk past the fountains, you have the same sense. You just feel like you're walking with them.
Yeah.
And it's been they've been in other movies, obviously. But they are iconic. They are a pop culture iconic landmark because anybody that's a fan of that film would be like, oh yeah, I'm just hanging out with George and Brad and we're just wandering around the fountains. It's all good. We just pulled off ice and have pretty good self-esteem right now. So yeah, that they're beautiful and it's a great romantic, iconic location to be at. So there we go. That's my honorable mention.
I love it. Well, I just stayed at the Paris Hotel Las Vegas, which is across the strip from the Bellagio. I will send you my time elapse videos that I made. From my window, overlooked the Eiffel Tower part of the Paris Hotel, but then you can see the Bellagio across the sea. And I did catch on time lapse. It looks, it doesn't look as nice in time lapse, but I got some great cloud shots and skyline shots.
Oh, neat.
Pretty nifty.
Do share.
I will indeed do that. Okay. My honorable mention was a nomination from my husband, and they are the Watts Towers in the Watts area of Los Angeles. I thought it was like a housing project initially, but he's like, no, they're actual towers. And that Watts area is, were the first big race riots that happened in Los Angeles back in the 60s. And if you ever watch the O.J. Simpson documentary, the really long one, Made in America, what's so cool about that documentary is how they overlap what's going on with race relations in the country and especially in Los Angeles with the rise and fall of his career and whatnot. But if you have seen Menace to Society, or in particularly if you've seen the movie Colors, then you've probably seen at least the towers or even the ceramic fence areas that is around it. And I think they said La La Land was filmed there too, but I could not finish La La Land, so that I don't recall. But I'm going to specifically go look for these in Menace to Society and Colors because those two movies I do really like. And now that I know what the Watts Towers actually look like and that they're not a building, they're just these 20 towers and a really interesting part of the city.
Neat. I'm looking at them now. That's pretty cool.
And so I have one more honorable mention, if you'll allow me to cheat, only because this is so close to me where I work.
Okay.
But the original Myers house from Halloween in South Pasadena. And I think it's private property, but you can walk by it. I don't think you can go inside.
Oh, that's very cool.
But yeah, pretty nifty. Pretty nifty, that Michael house.
Well, then I want to wait for your number. I have another honorable mention, but I want to wait to find out what your number is so I don't spoil anything. So.
Oh, okay. So you did your, honorable mention. Okay, got it. I got to write this down.
I'm going to do number one and then your number one.
Your number one and then my number one.
Yeah. Okay. My number one is It closed in 1981, but the building was still there, and there were two very, very, very famous films that were filmed there, and that would be the Maine Northeast High School or North High School, and in Illinois, The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So the outside of the high school, especially just for The Breakfast Club, because the iconic scene of the students showing up and the students departing, very, very different people than when they walked through the doors in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I love that John Hughes used the same plays for all of his movies are iconic, but The Breakfast Club is probably one of my all-time favorite movies about, teenage high school. I think it was my number one on our high school movie.
Yeah, high school movies. Mm-hmm.
But I also love that John Hughes, he was from that area, so he kind of stayed local. Just it all rests around their relationship with his principal. And so when as Judd Nelson's walking away and you hear the voice of Anthony Michael Hall reading this letter, that's the location, that's what was filmed. And yeah, Judd Nelson raising his arm nice and high, that's where it happened. And it's like, I want to stand in that spot and I want to raise my fist really high at the sky. I want to stand on the steps and I want my hubby to give me a real big kiss and I want to tear a patch off his jacket.
Yeah.
My earring. And
agreed. I had completely forgotten about that as being an option. And what resonates so much for me with Maine North High School is that, in the Park Ridge Arena, you had 4 Maine high schools. You had Maine North, South, East, and West. Maine East and Maine South were where like the junior high schools would kind of load into. And if we'd stayed in Chicago, we would have all attended Maine South High School. Our father went to Maine East with Harrison Ford. And when Linda Zernite got kicked out of Maine South, she went to school at Maine North because they made it a, trouble kid school. And I think they closed Maine West permanently, or actually, maybe I'm thinking this the other way around, that Maine West was the discipline school and Maine North, they wind up closing.
Maine North closed.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's still...
yeah, I can still picture, I've been inside Maine South and Maine East. I've been in Maine South a couple of times, but the most recent visit to both was still more than 20 years ago. I did a recruitment trip for Arizona State in Chicago. And so I got to go back to those high schools, which was super cool to be there.
I love it.
Yeah. Big high schools. Huge.
Okay. That's number 1 to you.
All right. Well, anybody that knows anything about me should already know this, particularly because it was the very first thing I thought of when we said, let's do landmarks made by movies and TV. And that would be the steps leading to M Street, featured in the original Exorcist movie. And again, videos. My last trip to Washington, D.C., I took an Uber to Georgetown and I walked those steps. And they are super eerie and super steep. But I videotaped myself going up the steps. And the house, the exterior, where they didn't film anything inside that house, but that house is still there. There's just no boarded up window where, Father Karras jumped out of. And then you can walk from Prospect Street into Georgetown. And I think they've changed the name of it. It's not the same Georgetown bar that was St. Elmo's Fire, but a bar that Kinderman and Father Dyer went to in The Exorcist 3 was filmed in that neighborhood as well. But to look at those steps and then actually walk those steps and then look down those steps, really is rather eerie. But I guarantee you, if I ever go back to Washington, D.C. for whatever reason, I'm going to go again because there's just something about that location. I guess maybe it's a little sick and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because that movie impacts me in so many different ways, as our, longtime listeners of the show will know. But yeah, it's a crook in my horror memory.
Oh, yes.
And I'm not willing to give up. So there.
Well, I tell you what, next time I go to DC, I have to do that then because I have not done that. All right. So I'm going to give us a bonus. This is
a bonus. Okay.
Me and you.
Okay.
Bonus because we did it together. So our bonus pop culture landmark would be the Rocky Steps.
The Rocky Steps.
You and I,
Philadelphia Museum of Art.
we ran up them together, and we jumped up and down, and it was I got just as winded as he did the first time he ran steps when he right.
I did not run with you guys. I videotaped it because I was too afraid with my bosom that I might fall over. But I was there. I was.
Yeah.
With you guys.
Oh, I thought you ran up with us.
No, I didn't run up with you. I took the video.
Oh, but you played the music for us.
I did, and that's why my video was all screwed up because you can't take video and play music at the same time, which is really pathetic.
Yeah,
but that's a great bonus and
really, really cool
location.
Yeah. Okay,
baby.
Recap.
That's me first, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my honorable mentions, both Southern California places. So the Watts Towers out there in, I guess, the Watts neighborhood of LA, and then the Myers House, which is in South Pasadena. Then we go to the Biltmore Hotel in downtown LA, the South Seas Apartments in Reseda, California, Mother Malone's, also known as the Original Mothers in downtown Chicago, Quick Stop Groceries from what I think is called Red Bank, New Jersey, and finally the steps leading to M Street.
The Exorcist.
From The Exorcist. I didn't mention any of those names, but I just mentioned
yes. All right, yeah. So my bonus was the Rocky Steps because we both were there together. And then honorable mention, the Bellagio fountains, or the fountains at Bellagio. And then 5-1, the Outsider's House, the Ghostbusters Firehouse, the Hilton Chicago, Timberline Lodge, and Maine North High School.
We could probably do a second show of these, like just thinking more about like when you go to those sites and see where some of these places were filmed and you're like, I actually know where that is. Or that's actually right down the street from my house. When I found out that they filmed parts of Memento and Sons of Anarchy in Sunland, where I live right now, I'm like lost my shit. How to find all these places.
Yeah.
And then you see, like, I really love it too when I'm watching a movie, either that takes place in Chicago or in California, knowing what I know about those cities. Like when I recognize something in the film, I get all excited. And I think that's so.
Yeah, like our Park Ridge house was in a TV movie, right?
It was, yeah.
American Dream. So yeah, the American Dream is a TV movie, and the kids at the beginning of the movie, the kids are going to our Merrill Elementary School, and the film pans around, and you see our Park Ridge house right there at the beginning of it, and then just the from the Blues Brothers, the scenes that were filmed close to our house,
near South Park.
All the locations around Chicago. You know, every time I drive past or see Daily Plaza, I'm transported into the Bluesmobile, you know.
Dream as well.
Yeah.
As well. So what year did this American Dream movie come out? It's not a football movie, right?
Oh God, no. It's American Dream TV movie. Came out like 81-ish. 19. Oh, I'm gonna have to look it up because it's so obscure.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I'll find it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to refresh my memory on that one because I do not remember this. But that's neither here nor there.
Yes.
And Merrill School is not there anymore.
No, it is not.
Oh, yeah, they definitely filmed that way, 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 way back in the day.
Oh, it was a TV series. I'm sorry. American Dream TV series from 1981 about a family from a Chicago suburb who moves back to, they decide to buck the trend in urban flight and move back to the city from the suburbs.
Wow.
Yeah. So they start out, at our house, going to that, Merrill Elementary School, but you can't watch it. Too bad. That would be super.
8 episodes, 3 that were unaired.
Yeah.
Canceled and never re-aired after the first 5.
Yeah.
That is just sad.
Isn't that crazy?
And you know what? ABC, that makes me really angry because they also canceled the 9 and never let me finish. So I still have no closure on what happened to all those lovely people.
Yeah.
Infuriating. Okay. Well, friends, that gets us through another super exciting episode of the Top 5 podcast. If you are watching us on YouTube, which judging by the number of subscribers to my channel, you really aren't. That's okay. But if you are, please hit the subscribe button and share an episode with your friends, because that would make us really super happy. And Annie, what else? Anything else on your brain?
No, I'm going to be bracing myself for about 8 to 10 inches of snow tonight. And thank God we have a snowblower.
Yeah, I reckon I need to be looking at my packing for next week. So yeah, we'll talk about that offline. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to this week's episode. For Annie Pruitt, I'm Kris McPeek, and we will catch up with you next time.
All righty.